Okay, now I want to discuss a game between Dobias and Podgorny, played in Prague, 1952. The opening is a French defense, ECO code C10. And um, Dobias' first move was E4. Black played E6. White played D4. Black played D5. We have a French defense. And then White plays knight to C3. The other options are, of course, you can play the Tarish by playing that. You play the advanced variation by playing E5, and you can even play the exchange variation. But here, White continues knight to C3 on its third move, and then Black plays not a typical move. And maybe the theme or the ideas behind this game, when I play through it, I'd say Black's plays some second best moves, and then also this is another lesson on how to attack the king side with pieces, how to make your opponent make a weakening move with one of the pawns in front of the king. So, but here Black plays D takes E4, not the probably the best move on the board, but because it allows White to recapture, and now White has a centralized knight, which gives White a slight advantage. It looks like Black's idea is to play C5, attacking the center, and then with Black's fourth move, which was knight to D7, we also realize that sort of furthered Black's game plan is not only to play this move, but to also play this move, knight to F6, but plays knight to D7, preparing the knight to come to F6. So White plays knight to F3. You know, in the opening, we got to get our pieces out. You know, the location of this knight developing F3 looks, you know, very natural. This piece is probably going to develop to D3, where it can attack the king side and also attack the H7 square, which is a common theme in the French defense. And not too sure where to place this bishop yet, so White plays knight to F3, which helps to control the center, protects the D4 pawn, and prepares castling. Now Black plays another sort of what I call a second best move, which is bishop to E7. Sort of a non-committal move. Probably better was actually playing along with its plan, knight on G to F6, forcing the question to the knight on E4, where White probably would have been compelled to take the knight, and then Black recaptures, and I think you have a better situation here. So Black should have played knight on G to F6, putting the immediate test to White's advantage, but Black plays on its fifth move, bishop to E7, sort of developing a piece, but very non-committal. And now White plays bishop to D3, preparing the castle. As I mentioned before, the bishop is aimed towards the king side, where the black king's probably going to castle. And now Black plays knight on G to F6, but now the situation is different. The bishop here has developed. White isn't compelled to really take the knight on F6. So instead, what White does is it develops the queen to E2. So White still retains its advantage. And now what happens? Here's the reason why you know, White isn't really compelled to take the knight, because let's say now it's you know, White just made its seventh move, queen E2, because now if Black takes the knight, which isn't a recommended move. Then white can play bishop takes e4, and if the knight comes to f6, which I don't recommend in this position, probably move like c5 is better. But if the knight comes f6, this looks sort of natural if you were in this position, saying, hey, I'm going to move the knight to f6, it's going to sort of unclutter my pieces and attack the bishop, one of white's good pieces. But here's what happens is that white can now play bishop takes a b7. Looks like a mistake by white, but after the recapture by black, white has queen to b5 check, and also attacking the bishop on b7. So we have a fork. So white actually comes out with a pawn ahead, and now both these pawns are weak. So that's why black can't move the knight to take. Whoops, queen e2. In this position, I'm sorry, that the black should not capture the knight on e4. So white plays our black castles. Another good move maybe was once again playing the move c5. But black castles. White castles too, sort of increasing king safety, sort of getting the rooks out, hopefully connected at some point. And now black actually does take the knight on e4, trying to basically free up its position a little bit. But now instead of white playing the bishop recaptures, white plays queen takes e4, threatening checkmate on this square. Maybe I should just pause to say, if you look at white's pieces, the queen is developed, this bishop is developed, this bishop looks like it can get active right away, and this knight looks like it can jump into the king side attacking. Where black's pieces, black does have two developed pieces, but they seem to be less active than white counterparts. This bishop here is still stuck. How to develop this bishop, especially given the fact that this pawn is in the way. Probably black's going to have to play moves like this to get that bishop out. So, but it's black's ninth move, and what black plays, it looks very natural. Black's going to play knight to f6, where it defends against the mate threat and attacks the queen. But here's the problem: is that now this knight is sort of stuck, assuming the queen can stay on this line, but it may be stuck here defending against checkmate. So this will be a key theme now, as this game proceeds, is that this knight here is going to sort of be stuck defending against checkmates. So how should white proceed in this case? Well, white's game plan was actually to get black to move one of these pawns here, especially one of these two pawns, where it could attack them. Like I said, this is a common theme that this book, I've been going through the games in Logical Chess Move by Irving Chernev, where he's sort of going through games of how to attack the king side, and he really focuses on loosening up the pawn structure around the king and then attacking it. So he's using these example games. This is how white proceeds, is that white is going to play queen to h4, which keeps the attack on the this h7 pawn, but also white has the idea of, it sees that this piece here is stuck down defending h7, this knight here on f6. So the idea is to play a move like this, and then to exchange off the bishop for the knight, giving checkmate. And what does black to do? Well, black maybe wants to move one of these two pawns up, but moving one of those two pawns can lead to some type of sacrifice by one of the bishops, and this knight can easily jump into the attack. So how is white to or how is black to respond to this? Well, I can answer that question in the next video.